1 month after the destruction of Supreme Overlord Kraz's command ship, Earth was beginning to recover. Cities still lay in ruins, but people worked together to rebuild. The remaining Valkyrie forces had retreated from the solar system after their leader's defeat. In a large meeting room at the newly repaired depot facility, representatives from Earth sat across from delegates of the Valkyrie resistance and other alien species formerly under Valkyrie control. Admiral Hayes and General Powell led the Earth delegation. Natalie West sat beside them, helping with translation when needed. The mood was hopeful but cautious. "The Valkyrie Empire is fracturing without Kraz," said Kilax, now the official representative of the resistance. "Many worlds are declaring independence, but some Valkyrie commanders remain loyal to the old ways. They are regrouping in distant systems." Admiral Hayes nodded. "Which is why we need to formalize our alliance. Earth will help protect newly freed worlds, and in return, we ask for assistance with rebuilding and technology." The agreement was signed that day. Earth officially joined a new alliance of free worlds, taking its first steps into the wider galaxy. After the meeting, a ceremony was held on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Parts of the city were still damaged, but the central area had been cleared for the event. Thousands gathered to honor those who had fought to save Earth. President Williams stood at a podium, with rows of military personnel and civilians behind him. The survivors of the space battles and the scientists who had made victory possible were all there. "Today we remember those we lost," the president said, "and we honor those whose courage and ingenuity saved our world." He called forward Admiral Hayes, General Powell, Samantha Reeves, Ryan Garcia, Kevin Cho, Dr. Morgan, and Natalie West. Each received the newly created Earth Defense Medal. "These individuals represent the best of humanity," the president continued. "They never lost hope, even when our situation seemed hopeless. They reminded us that humans do not surrender, not even to seemingly impossible odds." After the ceremony, Admiral Hayes met with Samantha Reeves. She had been promoted to commander and would lead Earth's new fighter training program. "We need more pilots like you," Hayes told her. "The fleet is expanding. 10 new ships will be ready next month." Samantha nodded. "My first class of trainees includes pilots from 12 different countries, and we've had volunteers from 3 alien worlds as well." Across the globe, cities were being rebuilt with new technology shared by Earth's alien allies. Kevin Cho led a team combining Valkyrie technology with human innovation. New buildings rose quickly, stronger than before. At NASA, Natalie West prepared for a new role. She would serve as Earth's first ambassador to the Alliance of Free Worlds. Her ability to communicate with different species made her the perfect choice. "Are you nervous?" Dr. Morgan asked her as they watched a transport ship land to take Natalie to her new post. "A little," Natalie admitted, "but mostly excited. There's so much to learn about our new allies." Dr. Morgan smiled. "And I'll be studying the medical data they shared. We could cure dozens of diseases with this knowledge." Outside Earth's atmosphere, a fleet gathered. Earth ships flew alongside vessels from a dozen alien worlds. They were preparing for their first joint mission, to help liberate a planet still under control of Valkyrie loyalists. The U.S. Defender led the fleet, newly repaired and upgraded. Admiral Hayes stood on its bridge, looking at the stars that were no longer just distant lights but destinations. "Set course for the Centauri system," he ordered. "Maximum speed." As the ships accelerated away from Earth, people on the surface looked up. Many could see the fleet as points of light moving across the night sky. They watched with pride, knowing that Earth was no longer alone and no longer defenseless. The Valkyrie had thought humans would surrender like other species before them. They had thought Earth would fall easily. They had been wrong. Instead, their invasion had introduced humanity to the galactic community, not as victims, but as defenders of freedom. And somewhere in the galaxy, the remaining Valkyrie commanders now spoke the name of Earth with fear. The space between Earth and the Moon became a battlefield unlike any in human history. Earth ships and Valkyrie resistance vessels fought side by side against Supreme Overlord Kraz's forces. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as ships from both sides were hit. On the bridge of the U.S. Defender, Admiral Hayes coordinated the battle with calm precision. His decades of training were being put to the ultimate test. The resistance ships are drawing fire from the command vessel, his tactical officer reported. Our shields are holding at 30%. Hayes nodded. Have the Defender moved to position Alpha. We need to protect our damaged ships. The Defender moved between Kraz's command ship and 3 damaged Earth vessels. It took the brunt of the enemy fire, its advanced shields glowing bright blue with each hit. In her fighter, Samantha Reeves led another attack run. Her squadron had been reduced to 7 ships, but they were still fighting. "Squadron, follow me," she ordered. "We're going for the command ship's sensor array." The small fighters dodged through the battlefield, weaving between larger ships and debris. Valkyrie defensive fire tracked them, but Samantha's pilots were too quick. They fired their remaining missiles at the giant ship's sensor domes. Direct hits caused secondary explosions across the command ship's hull. "Good work," Samantha told her team. "Return to the carrier for reload." As her fighter turned away, a Valkyrie beam caught its wing. Warning lights flashed in her cockpit as her ship began to spin. "Mayday, mayday," she called. Engine hit, losing control. Before any rescue could reach her, a Valkyrie resistance fighter appeared. It matched speed with her damaged ship and guided it toward an Earth carrier. "Thanks for the assist," Samantha said to the alien pilot. "You showed us it was possible to fight back," came the reply. "We will not forget." At Deepwell, Dr. Elizabeth Morgan worked frantically with Kevin Cho and Natalie West. They had discovered something important about Valkyrie biology from the prisoners. Their life support systems rely on a specific mixture of gases, Dr. Morgan explained to General Powell. "If we can introduce this compound into their ship's air systems, it will temporarily incapacitate the crews without killing them." Kevin had already created the formula. Admiral Hayes can deploy it using modified torpedoes. They'll release the compound directly into the enemy ship's ventilation systems. General Powell immediately sent the information to Artemis Base, where the torpedoes were quickly prepared and distributed to the fleet. On the Valkyrie command ship, Supreme Overlord Kraz raged at his officers. How is this possible? These humans were supposed to be primitive. A subordinate trembled as he replied, "The resistance forces have given them technology, and our spies report humans have been building this fleet in secret for decades." Kraz slammed his fist on a control panel. "Launch our final weapon. Target their homeworld directly." The command ship's hull opened, revealing a massive cannon. It began charging, a ball of energy growing at its center. The weapon had the power to crack a planet's crust. Admiral Hayes saw the threat immediately. "All ships, target that weapon. Everything you've got." Earth ships and resistance vessels converge, firing at the charging cannon. Their weapons seemed to have little effect against the reinforced shields protecting it. "Sir, the weapon will fire in 30 seconds, the tactical officer reported. "We can't stop it." Hayes made a decision. "Prepare the Defender for ramming speed." His crew looked shocked, but followed orders. The Defender's engines powered up to maximum. "Wait," called the science officer. "The modified torpedoes are ready." Hayes reconsidered. "Launch torpedoes, all tubes." The special weapon shot toward the command ship, bypassing its shields through small gaps created by previous damage. They penetrated the hull and released Dr. Morgan's compound into the ship's air systems. Within seconds, alarms blared on the command ship. Crew members began collapsing at their stations. The charging weapon became unstable without operators to control it. The enormous energy ball collapsed inward, creating a chain reaction. Explosions rippled across the command ship's hull. "All ships, back away," Hayes ordered. "It's going to blow." Earth and resistance ships retreated as Kraz's mighty vessel tore itself apart from the inside. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface, a new temporary star in the night sky. A cheer went up throughout the Earth fleet, but Hayes remained focused. "Status report on remaining enemy forces," he requested. "Sir, the Valkyrie ships are retreating. Without Kraz's command ship, they've lost coordination." For the first time in days, Hayes allowed himself a small smile. "Begin recovery operations. This battle is won." The U.S. Defender moved into position near Earth's orbit. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge, watching as the Valkyrie ships scrambled to form a defensive line. His surprise attack near Mars had worked perfectly. Now it was time for the main event. "All ships report ready," his communications officer said. "Fighter squadrons launching now." Through the viewports, Hayes could see the smaller fighter craft shooting out from the larger ships. Samantha Reeves led the first wave, her fighter marked with a red stripe. The small, nimble Earth fighters were designed specifically to exploit weaknesses in Valkyrie ships. "Begin the attack," Hayes ordered. "Remember the plan. Draw their big ships away from Earth." The Earth fleet moved forward, weapons charging. The Valkyrie responded immediately, their ships turning to face the new threat. Beams of energy flashed across space as the battle began. On her fighter, Samantha led her squadron toward a group of Valkyrie patrol ships. "Remember their attack pattern," she told her pilots through the radio. 3 seconds after their forward lights flash, they fire. That's your window to dodge. The fighters swooped in. Just as she predicted, the Valkyrie ship's lights flashed, and 3 seconds later, energy beams shot out. But the Earth fighters were already moving, dodging the attack. They fired their own weapons, hitting the Valkyrie ships at the weak points Kevin Cho had identified. 2 Valkyrie ships exploded. The others tried to retreat. "Don't let them get away," Samantha ordered. "They'll warn the others about our tactics." Her squadron pursued, taking down 3 more enemy vessels before they could escape. Back on the Defender, Admiral Hayes watched as the battle unfolded across Earth's orbit. His ships were holding their own, even against the larger Valkyrie vessels. The element of surprise was working in their favor. "Sir, emergency transmission from Artemis Base," the communications officer reported. General Powell's face appeared on screen. "Admiral, we have a problem. Our sensors show a massive Valkyrie ship approaching from the dark side of the moon. It's at least 3 times larger than anything we've seen before." "Supreme Overlord Kraz," Hayes said grimly. "He's joining the battle personally." The enormous Valkyrie command ship emerged from behind the moon. It dwarfed the other alien vessels, its hull covered with weapons. It moved directly toward the center of the Earth fleet. "All ships, form up on the Defender," Hayes ordered. "Prepare for heavy assault." The Earth ships moved into a defensive formation. They had trained for this scenario, but facing the real thing was different. The massive Valkyrie ship began firing, its weapons more powerful than anything they had seen before. 2 Earth ships exploded immediately. A third was badly damaged. "Shields failing on decks 5 through 8, reported the Defender's tactical officer. "We can't take many more hits like that." Hayes studied the tactical display. The Valkyrie command ship had a weakness. Its main weapon took 30 seconds to recharge after firing. That was their window. "All remaining fighters, target the command ship's main weapon during its recharge cycle," Hayes ordered. "Capital ships, concentrate fire on its engine section when I give the signal." Samantha received the order and led her remaining fighters toward the massive vessel. It was like flying toward a metal mountain. "Wait for it to fire," she told her pilots. "Then we go in." The command ship's main weapon glowed bright blue, then fired a massive beam that tore through space, narrowly missing the Defender. The Earth fleet scattered to avoid the blast. "Now," Samantha shouted. Her fighters dove toward the still glowing weapon port. They fired their special missiles, designed by Kevin Cho to penetrate Valkyrie shields. The missiles hit their target, causing explosions across the huge ship's hull. At the same moment, the Earth capital ships concentrated their fire on the engine section. The combined attack made the massive vessel shudder. But it wasn't enough. The command ship was damaged, but still functional. It began to turn, preparing to fire again. "We need more firepower," Hayes said, watching the massive ship recover. Just then, new ships appeared on his tactical display. For a moment, he feared more Valkyrie reinforcements. Then he saw their configuration. "Sir, those are Valkyrie ships, but they're broadcasting on our frequencies," the communications officer said in surprise. Message reads, "Resistance forces reporting for duty. Tell us where to hit them." Hayes smiled for the first time since the battle began. "Tell our new friends to target the command ship's power core." The tide is turning. Admiral Peter Hayes stood in the command center of Artemis Base, looking at the fleet status on the main screen. 50 ships were ready for battle, their crews at full alert. The largest vessel, the U.S. Defender, would be his flagship for the coming fight. "All systems are green," reported his second-in-command. "The new shield modifications from Kevin Cho are installed on all ships." Peter nodded. He had been preparing for this moment for 15 years, ever since he took command of the secret space program. But he had hoped first contact would be peaceful. A message arrived from Earth. General Powell's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. "The President has given authorization," she said. "The counterattack begins in 6 hours. All world leaders have been informed of our capabilities." "About time," Peter said. "My pilots are ready." "There's more," General Powell continued. "Natalie West has established regular communication with the Valkyrie resistance. They're providing us with the positions of all Valkyrie ships and their patrol schedules." This was good news. Peter studied the new information as it appeared on his screen. The main Valkyrie fleet was spread thin, with many ships now landed on Earth to support ground troops. "We'll hit them hard at Mars first," Peter decided. "Then move quickly to defend Earth." Back at Deepwell, a heated argument was taking place. Some civilian leaders wanted to negotiate with the Valkyrie instead of fighting. "They've offered to spare our major cities if we surrender now," said a worried government official. General Powell stood firm. "We don't negotiate with invaders. And we have information from Kilax that the Valkyrie never keep their promises. They'll destroy our cities anyway once they have full control." Natalie West agreed. "The Resistance has sent images of other worlds that surrendered. The Valkyrie stripped them of resources and left them ruined." The debate ended when new reports came in. The Valkyrie had destroyed Rio de Janeiro. Millions were dead or missing. There would be no more talk of surrender. At Artemis Base, Admiral Hayes addressed all ship captains through a secure channel. "Today we show the Valkyrie that Earth is not defenseless," he said. "We have trained for this. We have the technology. And we have something the Valkyrie don't understand: the will to fight against impossible odds." The captains saluted. Many had been part of the program for decades, keeping the secret even from their families. In space near Mars, a small group of Valkyrie ships patrolled. They were bored, expecting no resistance. Their sensors showed nothing unusual. Suddenly, Earth ships appeared from behind the Martian moon Phobos. They had been hiding there for hours, their new stealth systems making them invisible to Valkyrie scanners. The U.S. Defender led the attack, firing new weapons developed from Kevin Cho's research. The special beams hit the Valkyrie shields at exactly the right frequency. The shields flickered and failed. 5 Valkyrie ships were destroyed before they could even send a distress signal. On the Valkyrie command ship orbiting Earth, Supreme Overlord Kraz received the first reports of the attack with disbelief. "Impossible," he growled. "Earth has no space fleet." But more reports came in. Earth ships were attacking Valkyrie positions throughout the solar system. And these were not primitive vessels. They were advanced warships with technology equal to the Valkyrie. Kraz called for his best commander. "Take half the fleet to Mars. Destroy these Earth ships." In Deepwell, General Powell watched the battle unfold through data sent from Artemis Base. The first strike had been perfectly executed. Not a single Earth ship lost. Send the message to all resistance forces on occupied planets, she ordered. Operation Payback has begun. Samantha Reeves prepared her fighter squadron. She would lead the first group of Earth fighters against the Valkyrie ships in orbit. Her pilots were the best from every air force on the planet, secretly trained for space combat. They thought we would just roll over and die. She told her pilots, let's show them how wrong they were. The gathering storm was about to break. Earth's hidden strength was finally revealed, and the real war was just beginning. Lieutenant Ryan Garcia checked his spacesuit one last time. His team of 6 soldiers stood ready in the airlock of the small stealth ship. They had trained for space missions for years, but this was their first real combat drop. Remember, Ryan said to his team, we need to capture the ship intact and take at least 1 Valkyrie alive. We need information. The soldiers nodded. Their faces were serious behind their helmet visors. Each carried special weapons designed to work in space and against alien technology. Their ship had left Artemis Base 2 hours ago. Now they were hiding behind a small moon of Mars, waiting for a Valkyrie scout ship to pass by. Intelligence from Artemis Base had spotted the lone ship checking the outer planets. Target approaching. The pilot's voice said in their headsets. Ready in 30 seconds. Ryan took a deep breath. So much depended on this mission. The airlock door opened. Space stretched out before them, dark and vast. In the distance, a small ship with the now familiar arrowhead shape of Valkyrie vessels moved slowly among the stars. Go, Ryan ordered. They pushed off, their suit jets carrying them silently toward the alien ship. Ryan led the way, watching as the target grew larger. The Valkyrie ship showed no signs of noticing them. When they reached the hull, Ryan used a special tool to cut through the outer layer. It took longer than expected. The Valkyrie metal was tough. Finally, they created an opening large enough to enter. Inside, the air was breathable but had a strange smell. The halls were lit with a soft purple light. The team moved carefully, following the ship plans that Natalie West had decoded from Valkyrie transmissions. They reached the bridge without being detected. Ryan held up his hand, signaling his team to stop. Through a doorway, they could see 3 Valkyrie. The aliens were tall and thin, with the same gray-blue skin they had seen in the broadcasts. Ryan gave the signal. They rushed in, weapons ready. The Valkyrie were surprised. They reached for weapons, but it was too late. 2 were stunned by the special guns. The third put up its hands in surrender. Ship secure, Ryan reported through his radio. We have 1 Valkyrie cooperating and 2 unconscious. No casualties on our side. Within an hour, a larger Earth ship arrived to tow the Valkyrie vessel back to Artemis Base. The captured aliens were placed in secure rooms. Dr. Elizabeth Morgan was waiting when they arrived. She was Earth's top expert on biology and medicine. Now she would become the first human to study living aliens. The conscious Valkyrie was nervous but seemed willing to talk. To everyone's surprise, it spoke English. My name is Kelax, it said. I am part of the resistance against Supreme Overlord Kraz. Many Valkyrie do not support this war. Dr. Morgan recorded everything as Kelax explained the Valkyrie Empire. They weren't one species, but a coalition of many planets conquered over centuries. Some had been fighting against Valkyrie rule for generations. Kraz believes your planet has special resources, Kelax said. But he also fears you. Your broadcasts have been reaching our worlds for decades. Some of our people consider humans to be dangerous. Why? Natalie asked. She had joined the team at Artemis Base to help with communication. Your stories about fighting against impossible odds and winning. Your refusal to surrender. Other species gave up when the Valkyrie came. Kraz fears you will not. While Dr. Morgan continued talking with Kelax, Kevin Cho was studying the captured ship. Its technology was advanced, but not as far beyond Earth's secret developments as they had feared. Their shields operate on a frequency we can disrupt, Kevin told General Powell over a secure line. And their weapons have limited power reserves. They're not invincible. Back on Earth, the Valkyrie had begun landing troops in remote areas. They were preparing for a full invasion, confident that Earth had no way to fight back. They still didn't know about Artemis Base. They didn't know their scout ship had been captured. And they didn't know Earth was planning its first major counterattack. Ryan Garcia looked out a viewport at the Earth hanging in space, partly in shadow. Some of those dark areas were cities destroyed by the Valkyrie. "We're ready to hit back," he said quietly. "And they won't see it coming." General Powell led the group to a special room deep in the depot facility. Inside was a large screen taking up an entire wall. She entered a code on a keypad, then placed her hand on a scanner. "What I'm about to show you is known to only a few people on Earth," she said. "It has been our most closely guarded secret for 30 years. The screen lit up, showing what looked like a base on the far side of the moon. In a large hangar sat dozens of ships. They weren't like any aircraft built on Earth. They were sleek, powerful, and clearly meant for space. "This is Artemis Base," General Powell said, "home of the Strategic Space Defense Initiative." Frank Miller's mouth fell open. "That program was canceled in the 1990s. "That's what the public was told," General Powell replied. "In truth, it went deeper underground. We've been building a fleet in secret, using technology that most scientists on Earth haven't even dreamed of yet." "How?" Natalie asked. "How could something this big stay secret?" "The world's governments agreed it was necessary after we received signals from deep space in the 1980s. We knew someone was out there, and they might not be friendly. So we prepared." The screen changed to show a man in a uniform with admiral stars. He had gray hair and a serious face. "This is Admiral Peter Hayes, commander of our space fleet," General Powell said. "He's waiting for my signal to launch a counterattack." Kevin Cho stared at the ships on the screen. "Those drives, they're not rocket-powered." General Powell nodded. "We've had help. Not all aliens want to conquer. Some have been quietly guiding our technology for decades." The group watched as the screen showed training sessions. Pilots in special suits practiced in simulators. Engineers worked on engines that glowed with strange blue light. Weapons were tested against targets that looked like the Valkyrie ships. "We have 50 ships ready to fight," General Powell continued. "Each one can match a Valkyrie vessel, but we need more information before we attack. That's where you all come in." She turned to Samantha. "Your footage shows their attack patterns. Our pilots need that." To Kevin, "Your shield analysis could help our weapons penetrate their defenses." To Natalie, "And your communication skills might help us contact those Valkyrie who sent the hidden message." A new alarm sounded. One of the staff ran into the room. "General, the Valkyrie are broadcasting again." They rushed back to the main control room. On the screen, the same alien face appeared. "People of Earth, your resistance has failed. Your military forces are destroyed. Tomorrow we begin landing our troops. Any further resistance will result in the destruction of your cities." Natalie studied the transmission carefully. "There it is again," she said, pointing to a pattern in the background noise. "Another hidden message." She worked quickly to decode it. It says, "Prepare for contact at Earth's moon base. Friends coming." General Powell immediately opened a secure line to Artemis Base. "Admiral Hayes, be on alert. We may have friendly contacts approaching." On the screen, Admiral Hayes nodded. "We're ready. Our pilots are prepared, and our ships are fueled. Just give the word." "Not yet," General Powell said. "We need to be smart about this. The Valkyrie think they've won. That's our advantage." She turned to the group. "We have 12 hours before they start landing troops. That's 12 hours to prepare our counterattack." In space, the Valkyrie ships moved into new positions, preparing for their ground invasion. They had no idea what waited on the far side of the moon. Natalie looked at the screen showing Artemis Base and the fleet of secret ships. For the first time since the attack began, she felt real hope. "They thought Earth was defenseless," she said quietly. They were wrong. General Powell nodded. Very wrong. And they're about to find out just how wrong they were. Commander Alan Carter stood on the bridge of the U.S. Liberty as the ocean burned around him. 3 ships from his carrier group were already gone, sunk by beams from the sky. The alien ships hung above like deadly stars, untouchable. "Sir, we've lost contact with the Roosevelt," said a young officer. His face was pale. Alan nodded. That made 4 ships lost. He looked at the radar screen. 5 Valkyrie ships were positioned above their fleet. There was nowhere to run. "Launch all fighters," Alan ordered, "and send out a final message to command. Tell them what happened here." The jets took off from the carrier, streaking toward the alien ships. Alan knew it was hopeless, but they had to try something. He watched the radar as the jets approached the Valkyrie ships. One by one, the dots representing the jets disappeared. Not a single alien ship took damage. A bright light began to glow on the bottom of the nearest alien vessel. Alan knew what was coming. "Abandon ship," he ordered. "Everyone to the lifeboats." The beam struck the Liberty directly. Alan never made it to a lifeboat. Miles away, Air Force Captain Samantha Reeves flew her F-35 low over the mountains. Her squadron was gone. She was the only one left. Her radio crackled with desperate messages from bases and cities across the country. Everyone was under attack. She had recorded footage of the alien ship's attack patterns on her jet's camera. The aliens had a specific way of moving before they fired. Maybe that information could help someone. Her fuel gauge was blinking. She needed to land soon. Below, she saw a small airfield next to a mountain. It looked unused, but the runway seemed intact. She brought her jet down carefully. As she climbed out, men in military uniforms surrounded her. They weren't wearing regular Air Force gear. "Captain Reeves," one asked, "we've been expecting you. Come with us." They led her to what looked like a regular mountain. Then a door opened in the rock face. They went down in an elevator, deep into the earth. The elevator opened to a huge underground room filled with people working at computers. Maps on big screens showed the alien ships and the destruction across the globe. A woman in a general's uniform approached. Her face was tired but determined. "Captain Reeves, I'm General Diane Powell. We've been watching your jet. You're the only pilot who's managed to record the Valkyrie attack patterns up close and survive." Samantha handed over her camera. "They have a pattern before they fire. Maybe we can use that." General Powell nodded. "That's exactly the kind of information we need." She led Samantha to a map table. Red dots showed where the aliens had attacked. They hit every major military base, most of our power grid, and our satellite control stations, General Powell explained. "Most of our Navy is gone. Air forces around the world have been destroyed on the ground. We're running out of options." "What is this place?" Samantha asked. "This is Deepwell, our last command center. It was built to survive nuclear war. We hope it can survive this too." On the other side of the room, Natalie West and Frank Miller entered from another elevator. They looked exhausted. "NASA is gone," Frank said to General Powell. But Natalie found something in their transmission. Natalie explained the hidden message about Valkyrie who might help. As they talked, a young man rushed up to them. His name tag read Kevin Cho, Engineering. "General, I've been analyzing the footage of their shields," he said, excited. "When our weapons hit them, there's a slight flicker at a specific frequency. I think their shields might have a weakness." General Powell looked at the group around her. Natalie with her decoded message, Samantha with her attack pattern footage, and Kevin with his shield discovery. "It's not much," she said, "but it's a start." Above them, the world was burning. Cities were going dark as the Valkyrie continued their attack. The aliens thought they had won. They thought Earth was beaten. They didn't know about Deepwell. They didn't know about the people gathered there, working to find a way to fight back. And they didn't know Earth's biggest secret yet. The message came on a Tuesday morning. Natalie West was drinking coffee at her desk at NASA when her computer screen flickered. At first, she thought it was just a normal glitch. Then all the screens in the control room changed at once. A face appeared. It wasn't human. The creature had gray-blue skin, large black eyes, and no visible nose. When it spoke, its thin lips barely moved, but the voice was clear and perfect English. People of Earth, I am Ambassador Zork of the Valkyrie Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. Surrender all military control within 24 hours or face extinction. The room went silent. Natalie's coffee cup slipped.